Yo, what is up everybody, it's the Great here and welcome back to another Naruto reaction video here today. And today we have yet another video by Dygoknight, and as you can tell by the title, this one is The Chunin Exams Make No Sense. So folks, like I said in the previous video, a few of you guys recommended me Dygoknight and his content, and a few of you guys have also informed me that he is not the most informed and or the most objective Naruto content creator, which is why I predicted in the previous video and in this one that this will be some sort of debunk video. But either way, this is no attack to Dygoknight or anything of that nature. This is simply me just attacking the arguments, if any arguments need to be attacked and or addressed. So it is simply that. It's all for entertainment and for clearing up of any error that needs to be cleared up. But title of this, The Chunin Exams Make No Sense, certainly intrigues me, and I wonder what Daigo means when he says the Chunin exams make no sense, right? So I'm certainly curious about this video and what it entails of. But before we begin, anyways, really appreciate it. Hit that like button, turn on bell notifications to stay updated with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy, man, you mess with the kid, make sure to hit that sub button, because once you do, become part of the family forever. Let's not waste any more time, screen. Let's see what this video entails of.
The Chunin exams are great. I don't have to explain to
yes,
you
they are.
This is an amazing arc. A lot of people even have this arc as their top one best arc in the Naruto series. But there's one thing that doesn't quite make sense in universe in the arc, and I'm going to be exploring that in this video. You see, it doesn't make much sense for a nation or a village or whatever it is to send in their soldiers, in this case their ninjas, to die in an exam. Sure, abilities are supposed to be tested. You have to determine the power of your ninjas. Running these exams can be good for competition even. You can force ninjas to become better, to train more. However, the methods are a little bit strange. The Forest of Death is my main gripe here, and don't get me wrong, I love the Forest of Death. This is only a simple exercise. I would rather have the Forest of Death over the boring Boruto stuff any day of the week, but the Boruto stuff kind of makes more sense, and it really pains me to say that. So, in the Forest of Death, the ninjas get their missions. They have to collect another scroll to form a pair, and then they have to run to the middle of the forest in the main tower. Fair enough, sounds good. The problem is that they can use whatever means necessary to collect the other scroll, and they have to collect it from other ninjas. This is a very good exercise. It makes sense to put shinobis in that situation if you're training and if you want to determine their level of ability, fighting each other, forming strategies, using teamwork and all that. However, the problem is that this entire portion of the exam doesn't have a referee or anything of the sort. It's a free-for-all, man. They even have to sign a waiver that says the Leaf Village is not responsible for their deaths or injuries if it happens in the middle of the forest. Like, why would you do that? Why would you throw your ninjas, the pride of your village, your young generation, into this massive death trap? You're losing manpower there, a lot of it. Let's analyze the other portions of the exam. The first one...
Alright, so that's the first argument that I want to contend with, right? The whole idea that the very regulations of the Chunin exams are questionable and not morally ethical. Here's the problem with that argument. To compare our modern Western civilization to a fictional-based reality like Naruto is a false dichotomy, and here's why. The reality of Naruto, first of all, is fictional, right? And the very premise of Naruto's reality, right, in the shinobi world, is to become the best shinobi you can possibly become through very rigorous and sometimes cruel means, right? So trying to impose our first world conditions and first world ideologies onto the Naruto verse, where it is certainly more barbaric and primal in comparison to, first world conditioned modern Western country, where you could have little kids, participating in karate tournaments with referees, is not the right way to analyze and dissect the Naruto verse, right? It's a false dichotomy because you're comparing two different realities with blatantly different cultural standards. There are certainly some similarities. However, the Naruto verse is supposed to replicate an older time in human history, Shinobi villages are supposed to replicate tribes, so to speak. Not necessarily modern first world superpowers like the United States, where there's tons of freedom and tons of regulation and tons of equality, which is a good thing, of course, right? Naruto is not supposed to replicate that. It's supposed to display thematic aspects and aesthetic aspects through more so harsh means for many reasons, right? For entertainment, for clarity, etc. So I've seen this argument constructed with other content creators that are not as in tuned with the thematic aspects of Naruto and the clear differences in culture and ideologies in comparison to the real world and modern first world countries, right? So trying to paint individuals in the Naruto verse as barbaric and absolutely terrible people because they have their children participate in, the Chunin exams where they could even lose their lives is not the right way to approach it. Right? That's all they know. The very ideology that the Shinobi world has is all they know. And on top of that, the very fictional reality that we're discussing here is clearly much different than our real world modern civilization. Certainly different. The very physiology of the individuals in that fictional based reality is different. They can wield powers beyond human capability. They can use genjutsu, they can use taijutsu, they can use ninjutsu, things that humans can't even do. So to even compare humans and shinobi is somewhat of a false dichotomy. Yes, we both have brains and we have 4 limbs, etc. But when you get deeper into the analysis, from ideology to thematic aspects to the very physiology of shinobi, it's certainly different than humans and humans' ideology and culture, right? So I don't deem someone like a proctor in the Chunin exams as a morally dark person because they're having their shinobi engage in life or death situations. That's just a false dichotomy, right? And I've seen that many times. But let's continue on.
On a written test, and it's a written test with a twist because you are encouraged to cheat because they're testing your ninja abilities. Perfect test! This is the perfect exam for you to conduct in the Chunin exams. You have to test if your ninjas are able to collect intel and if they're smart enough to avoid detection. Also, this doesn't put anyone's lives in danger, so yeah, you're not gonna run into this problem of killing your own shinobi. The third task, one-on-one fights in a big arena. Perfect. It has a referee. The risk of death is very low because the ref's gonna get in there and stop the fight as soon as it gets too dangerous. The first of death, well, there is no such thing. You're going to die if you make a mistake in the forest. There's no way around it. Shikamaru even asks Anko before they enter the forest, "Can I quit in the middle of the exam?" And Anko kind of laughs at him and says, "I mean, you can, but nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna get killed by your opponents." Which is very disheartening if you're a guy like Shikamaru. I mean, he just wants to serve the clouds, man. But still, look at it from the perspective of the Leaf Village, for example. Or any other village, to be honest. Ninjas are a valuable resource. Arguably the most valuable resource the entire nation has. They're military. They are powerful. They're important to maintain the security in the land. And you want to make sure they don't go to waste. Now what you do in the Chunin exams, you send your most valuable assets, your prodigies that can become the strongest ninjas in your nation, into this test that can kill them, and we see a lot of Genins getting killed in the middle of the Chunin exams. Now if you're someone heartless like Orochimaru, you're not gonna care because you just want to further your own goals. You don't even care about your village, man. The South Village is barely even a village, but anyway, if you're the 3rd Hokage, for example, that strikes me as a guy that cares about the young generation. You don't want to send them into their deaths just because you want to test their abilities. Now, there's an argument to be had here that, oh, okay, if they go under these very difficult circumstances...
Again, keep in mind, first of all, the very ideologies and the very reality of Naruto is certainly different than our own. And not to be pedantic, but to counter Dygoknight's perception of Hiruzen. Hiruzen allowed the elimination of an entire race. He allowed it. So he's certainly not the most moral righteous of individuals as Daigo thinks he is. Again, if you presuppose Naruto's reality is similar or equivalent to ours, which is not. But if I'm looking at Hiruzen from Daigo's subjective lens, I wouldn't consider him a morally righteous person. He allowed the elimination and extinction, essentially, of the Uchiha. But I just wanted to touch up on that. That was just kind of funny.
They're gonna come out stronger if they make it. But if they don't make it, I mean, it's one less ninja that you have, or 3 in this case, because it's a team. And this thing doesn't even make much sense. Like, training in the military, in the real world, for instance, doesn't involve sending your soldiers to their deaths. Yes, military training can be very exhausting physically and mentally. It can be draining. It can even make you mad. You can go crazy from the harshness of the training, but it doesn't kill you. They don't use real rounds in the military training. And they certainly don't train soldiers from one nation with soldiers of the other nation. They have to kill each other. This doesn't make much sense. Because let's be honest, the Chunin exams is not that important in the grand scheme of things. If the Kage of any given village wants to, he or she can promote a Genin from Chunin just by saying, okay, here you are, you're promoted, there you go. No need for an exam. The exams have 2 purposes. They provide an incentive for the younger generations to push harder and become stronger, but most importantly, the Chunin exams serve to show other nations and potential clients the power of the ninjas from their nation. If a particular nation/village goes well in the Chunin exams, clients will be more inclined to take the job. Clients will be more inclined to hire jobs from ninjas from that particular village. And it also serves to show off the power of their own ninjas against other nations so that they don't attack, which doesn't really work because Orochimaru and the Sand attacked the Leaf village anyway. But these are the main purposes in universe for the exam. Now, it wasn't always like this. We can see in the Obito/Kakashi flashbacks that the Chunin exams were held only in the Leaf village for Leaf village ninjas in the past. However, very recently in the Naruto-verse, allied villages decided to hold the exams together so that they can show off the power of their ninjas, yada yada yada. And yes, this makes sense. You can do that. I'm not complaining about this aspect of the exams. The problem is when you send ninjas to the exams and they don't come back. That's gonna be an issue. Because if you do that too much, well, you're gonna run out of young ninjas, and then your younger generations will be in deficits, and then in the future, you're gonna have a huge gap in the power of your shinobis. Also, using the Forest of Death as an exam ground, essentially, with no supervision, will let other nations to infiltrate the exam and kill your younger ninjas. Some nations can send Jonins disguised as Genins so that they can just go and kill the Genins from other villages to make sure they assert their power and the other village come out weaker. Something kinda like that happened in the Chunin exams when Orochimaru invades the Forest of Death that has no supervision so that he can put the curse mark on Sasuke, taunt him, test his abilities. Now, he didn't kill anyone except from the grass ninjas that he killed them outside of the forest, but you get the point. This wouldn't have happened in the arena, for example. In the arena, Orochimaru had to literally attack the entire village, which is something much more difficult to do than just infiltrating the forest. If Orochimaru really wanted to, he could literally kill every single Genin participating in the Forest of Death exam. Also, the Forest of Death does not serve this purpose of showing off to other nations and to potential clients because nobody watches it. It's a forest, there's nothing in it, just beasts and insects and all that. There isn't anyone watching. The most effective stage to show off this type of stuff is in the arena, because there 1,000 people are watching, those very rich people that are gonna hire ninjas for whatever jobs they are going.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that there is some sort of monetarization of the forest. Clearly they're not literally observing every Genin at every single point in time. I know they're not doing that because the forest is somewhat large, right? But I don't think they're just leaving the entire area and letting the Genin do what the Genin do, if I'm not mistaken. But to touch up on other points that Daigo made, one of the premises he has reiterated several times is that quantity is important, and that allowing Genin to die in the Chunin exams is detrimental to a village overall. That can easily be contended and debated against with this. We have seen what higher level shinobi alone are capable of. Madara Uchiha defeated an entire division of the allied shinobi forces single-handedly. Minato Namikaze single-handedly defeated 1,000 shinobi by himself. The third Raikage single-handedly defeated 10,000 shinobi by himself. So the purpose of the Chunin exams is for quality shinobi, not the quantity, the quality of the shinobi, right? And the reason that they have these standards and regulations in place in these tests is process of elimination, as harsh as it sounds. And again, this is a different reality with different prioritizations of morality and what's important, right? It's not a first world country. This is not the United States or Canada. This is the shinobi world, right? And this is the Leaf Village, the Mist Village, etc. So simply put, they want quality shinobi. Shinobi that can turn the tides in war. They're looking for the next Itachi. They're looking for the next Mamoru Uchiha. They're looking for the next Minato. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for a giant army. Not all shinobi are built equivalent. In fact, in the normal world, right, the gap between human to human is not that large. Yes, we have, strong men that are just preposterously strong, and then we have below average men that are just preposterously weak, right? But average is the commonality in the real world, right? Which is why military are not having quantity over quality, right? Just allowing military veterans and military operators to just die during training. This isn't shinobi world. This is the real world, where gaps in ability aren't that large. In comparison to Naruto, we have someone like Tenten or Sakura who's complete fodder, especially in part 1, and then we have people like Neji, who's already at a Chunin level. So hence, it is quality over quantity. So the whole premise that you're losing numbers isn't as detrimental as the real world. And Daigo clearly hasn't seen that due to his own emotional bias on this topic, right? Clearly he imposes our reality and our ideologies and culture onto the Naruto world, which again is a false dichotomy. It certainly is. But yeah, let's continue.
Going to look at the fights and see if they like the ninjas that are fighting there. So it makes much more sense in Boruto when we get the capturing flag thing and there's a referee and they're not in risk of imminent death whenever they are there. Also, we see in the Obito Kakashi flashbacks that the second stage of the Chunin exams were team fights, 3 versus 3 essentially. That's another effective type of exam. And also you could even have this exam in an arena so that more people can watch, more spectacle, more people seeing your ninjas. But having it in a forest where nobody can see, where people can infiltrate and kill your Genins, where the Genins are just killing each other, the senseless, doesn't make much sense. And I really hate to bring up Boruto as a positive example, though I kinda don't care about this. Let's be real, the Forest of Death is an amazing part of the Naruto series. It's awesome. The Sasuke versus Orochimaru fight, Sasuke awakening the curse mark and stomping the sound team, Naruto telling Sasuke he's a scaredy cat. It's all great in the Forest of Death. I would never change that for the Boruto stupid capturing flag thing, or even the team fights, because, well, the story had to be that way for it to be satisfying. The characters needed to be thrown into this very bad situation from day one in the Forest of Death. And you can even justify things like you would usually do, saying that, oh, maybe they really wanted to test their guts, making sure that the ninjas that are passing are actually extremely powerful. But honestly, do you see Hiruzen doing such a thing? Sending his Genins to their deaths? I don't remember if we ever saw any Leaf ninjas dying in the Chunin exams. I think we did, but it may have been very quick, though we definitely see a lot of Genins dying. I mean, just remember the ones from the Rain Village that Gaara stomped. It doesn't make a lot of sense from an in-universe perspective to have the Forest of Death. However, I like the Forest of Death. Everyone likes the Forest of Death. We can let that one slide. I just wanted to bring up the point that it doesn't make much sense for you to send your Genins to their deaths because you're gonna run out of manpower in your village. Subscribe to this channel and watch this video right here for more Naruto content. Like this video right here as well if you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching.
Alright, there you guys have it. That's the video. And to get my thoughts on the video, once again, the whole premise of Dygoknight's argument here was that you're losing quantity, right, because of you allowing your Genin to die during the Chunin exams, during these several Chunin exam tests. But again, in the Shinobi world, quality is prioritized over quantity. And quality can literally turn the tides of a war if you have a prodigy on the level of Madara, Minato, etc. Right? So having cannon fodder in your army won't help you if another village has someone on the level of, again, Minato or someone of that nature. It won't make a difference. They'll be fodder and they'll die anyway, right? As harsh as it sounds. That's the Shinobi world. And I've reiterated this several times. The Shinobi world is certainly different than our world. And the very physiology of the organisms in the Shinobi world is certainly different than the physiology of individuals in our world. Right? Certainly different. The tangible aspects that we have power scaling wise in the real world are certainly different than the tangible power scaling aspects that Shinobi have. Durability varies greatly from one Shinobi to the next. In the real world, if any one of us gets shot by a firearm, we're done for. Clearly, quantity matters in the real world for many military powers amongst many countries. While conversely, for Naruto, we have people like the Third Raikage, who can literally spar with tailed beasts and be okay. Can tank a Rasen Shuriken from Naruto and be okay. We have people with the AP of Mamoru Uchiha who can slice mountains, while we have individuals like Tenten in Part 1 who probably couldn't even take down a small house, right? So there is preposterous gaps in power, preposterous gaps in durability and speed, etc. in Shinobi, in the Shinobi world, and the Chunin exams serve as tools for villages to find new talent, to find new quality Shinobi to utilize in their army, right? To defend the village or to attack other villages or whatever the case may be, right? So the premise for this video is certainly flawed. Again, the Chunin exams in our world wouldn't make sense. That I do agree with. I do agree with. Imagine having, military boot camp where you could die. The majority of the military manpower would be fractured by that, and that would be a preposterous idea. Not only ideologically and morally, but just logically speaking. Numbers-wise, it's stupid. You'd have less manpower. You'd have less bodies to be able to complete missions that need to be completed, right? So that would make no sense in the real world, but in the Shinobi world, it makes perfect sense. Where power varies greatly. Where quality varies greatly. Where you have Mamoru Uchihas in the world, while conversely having Part 1 Sakuras in the world, or Tentens, or Inos in the world. There's a preposterous difference in their power, and preposterous difference in their quality, right? So there you guys have it, folks. That's essentially my thoughts on the video and my debunking of the premise. Again, no attack to Daigo. He seems like a cool dude, and he seems passionate about Naruto, which is a good thing, and every content creator should be. But let me know your thoughts on my thoughts and my debunk/reaction to the video. What did you think? Do you agree with Daigo, and maybe I overlooked something, or I'm just incorrect logically, or flawed logically? Please let me know. I'm always interested to hear your guys' thoughts, so make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I will certainly read them all. But it's going to wrap it up, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Dygoknight signing out. Peace.